We're in a really sacred spot down here. I had buck 45 die down here. It's a really cool buck bedding area, and we've been working on it for years. In fact, last winter, a year ago, we actually made this and connected this trail right here. Jen and I were out here with chainsaw and clearing timber when it was deep snow. It's an incredible buck bedding area, and it's one of the anchors of bedding area for our entire parcel. Deer bed right down in here. We've had lots of cuttings down here. I've cut this whole side out right here. Joel started adding cuttings over here on this side. And so we've really focused on that. And this bedding area throws deer up to small hunting plots up here, big hunting plots over that way, a really big hunting plot, the Hermit right up here. So incredible buck bedding, and there's one way we could really destroy this. And I'm talking about literally, and you're probably thinking about what we plant, what we cut. And I'm looking at, like, if we do this one thing down in this location, and this will help you when you're planning on your own property to understand this concept. We love this area. It's incredible buck bedding. We've had bucks going in and out of here. It helps anchor the bedding to go up to our food for a large portion of our land here. And we could destroy it all by putting a food plot right in this location. This is a nice flat down here. We could actually clear out this timber very easy. It's all a lot of box elder. It's lower, so the soil is outstanding. It's lower, a lot of runoff from the hills. It's right next to this old creek that winds through here. So there's been a lot of deposits here and really good minerals and nutrients to grow food. And it would be extremely easy to clear it out. But you know how you destroy a buck bedding? You add a food plot to it. A lot of people say, hey, this is a great bedding area. We're going to add an apple orchard here. We're going to add a food plot. We're going to plant the trails that go through here. We could plant this trail really easy in some food plot storage. You can even see, because we've done so much bedding area work, you can see all the sunlight that's getting here. You can see all this regeneration that's coming in. It's coming in so well because there's so much sunlight here. So we could even just plant this trail. Food displaces buck bedding. This is a really important concept for you to understand. That's why in big mountainous country, if it's flat up in the tops and there's a lot of exposure to sunlight and you have great mass crop, then does are going to bed close to the top, bucks are going to bed down. If you have big, flat, open areas of great mass production, white oaks, I'm thinking of areas that are flats that I know of in Ohio that face towards the south, towards Kentucky actually, and you get lots of sunlight into those flats, incredible food sources, and then those bucks will bed high. You take a small bedding area on a 40-acre parcel, a 20-acre parcel, and you throw 1/8 of an acre, 1/4 acre. You might even be thinking, let's just put a hunting plot down here, and we'll blow our scent to the open field out there. Really bad idea, because again, it displaces buck bedding. I've even seen this, and we look at all different property types. I'm not just hunting one kind of area. For example, last year, had a really nice buck I shot in Pennsylvania on public land. It's an area I've hunted since 1993. So last year, I think it was my 21st season hunting out there for opening day of gun, and shot a nice buck out there. And that's big rolling hardwoods. Where I used to live in Michigan, I hunted the UP in Michigan for a very long time. We didn't have a year-round road within 7 miles of us, and that's more swampland, flatland. 800-foot change in elevation, 700-foot in Pennsylvania. And then you get around here where it's mixed ag. We go to light ag areas, heavy ag areas. And what you tend to see is if deer have space, they'll take it. Meaning in the UP, my food plot's there, you might have bucks that bed a half mile away, 3/4 mile away. They'll bed out in the swamps because they had federal forest that they could bed on, and no one's pressuring them. There's no hunters out there. So those deer would bed out there, and then they come to that food every afternoon. They'll move that half-mile space every single day, even 3/4 mile in some cases. Bait piles that people are leaving in the woods in mid-November in Michigan. The bucks I'm shooting out in the swamps coming in a different direction, we're relating to those bait piles to get there in the middle of the night, but I'm shooting them 3/4 mile away. In open ag area, northern Ohio, where it's flat, for example, bucks might bed 150 yards away from their food source instead of 3/4 mile or a mile or a half mile. So where they have space, though, of woods and cover, they'll bed further away. As the deer numbers are fragmented. It doesn't matter if there's heavy deer numbers or light deer numbers, they still take that space and they bed a long ways away. So think about that when you install food somewhere. I put a 1/4 acre food plot down here, then we're looking at, you can just do the math. Let's say probably with a 1/4 acre, from what I see, you know, tour and basically scout whitetail properties for a living, you know, close to 1,600 parcels just for myself. Dylan's over 300 now, I believe. Is that right?
Getting close, not quite.
Yeah, right around 300. So we look at properties for a living, and when you look at a property like this where you have mixed ag, you put a 1/4 acre food plot down here, I would guesstimate that if we attract a doe family group down here or two, and they're hitting this every day, those bucks will bed on the outside of that. And what that means around here, I would guesstimate that a buck would bed at least 150 yards away from this bedding area. So we take a bedding area that we could count on. We have a water hole over here where we've shot 2 nice bucks from. I actually shot or passed up a nice 4-year-old shorty last year down here. And it's been a really cool spot, but we could destroy it as a bedding area for bucks. And let's face it, when you get on small parcels, a 30-acre parcel, 20, 40, 15, whatever size you have, if you put a food plot in the wrong location, always think, boy, I'm pushing back that oldest buck in the neighborhood 150 yards or more. And in the case of the UP of Michigan, if I put a 3-acre, 2-acre food plot, you're pushing that buck back a half mile because he has the space. Always be very mindful. The big temptation is, boy, we have this buck bedding area. We'll make it better. Let's put a big food plot right in the middle, even a hunting plot. Let's plant the trails in the bedding area. All that food attracts does and fawns. The does and fawns and the stress of that food source, the openness of the food source repels bucks. Not to say they won't hit it in the afternoon or evening, but you start to run out of room. You know, if we're right here, we put a 1-acre food plot down here, and let's say a buck wouldn't bed within 200 yards, we're getting up to the food plot up there. So that means this entire area from field edge, you can almost see the field edge all the way up the top. You can see the light coming in through the trees. I would guesstimate straight as crow flies is probably 150 yards. That means this whole bowl, we put a 1/4 or 1/2 acre food plot down here. We eliminated this entire area for mature buck bedding. We do this here. We do it in another flat behind Dylan, another 150 yards. We do it towards the top of the hollow, about 500 yards from here. Pretty soon, we literally run out of room in this 100-acre hollow for having any mature bucks because they don't have enough space left over. It's a very, very important concept for you to understand in land design. That's why I don't like putting food plots in the middle of a 40-acre parcel, because not only can you not hunt them, get into them without spooking deer, and almost everybody does and tries and spooks and ruins their property, but you fragment the property for being able to actually hold a mature buck. I call it depth of cover. That's why a 20-acre parcel with 3 or 4 acres of food in the front of it, allowing 300 yards to the back with no food, is worth more than a 40-acre parcel with food right in the middle of it, because you fragment the amount of yards that a buck requires to actually bed away from that food before you put them into an open field or on a neighbor's parcel. Critical concept for you to understand. But let's title it. We'll probably title on it something, How to Destroy a Buck Bedding Area. But it's a major location that you shouldn't consider planting appreciable food in. Appreciable could just be planting this trail right here. We plant this in rye. We plant it in clover. You get those does and fawns coming into it. Even if it's 5 or 6 does and fawns, that daily amount of stress that buck doesn't want to be around, so you bed somewhere else. And really, let's face it, these locations like this, like I started this talk with, they truly are one of the most sacred locations in the woods. And if you come in here, you know, a buck bedding area anywhere, doesn't matter if it's on public land, private land, big parcels, small parcels, where you find a buck is bedding regularly, it's because he's away from does and fawns, he's away from stress. It's a sacred area. And I'm talking bedding areas. I don't care if that buck is bedding right here, up on that bench, this 15 acres. I don't care where he's at in here. I don't care if he has 50 beds that he beds in here. The more defined we make our property, the better we make it. We can count on him being here almost every single day. I don't care what bed he's in. I just want him in these 15, 12 acres, because if I know he's in here every day, we're going to kill him 80% of the time over a 10-year period. And that's why we shoot so many of our target bucks, because of these sacred locations. We can count on mature bucks being during the daylight hours. It doesn't matter if you find these on public land or you build them on private land. Those daylight bedding areas for mature buck are sacred. They're few and far between. That's why over 95% of all parcels don't have mature bucks, because they don't take advantage or build these daylight bedding areas for mature bucks. And one of the ways you can destroy all of this, again, the biggest way, you could walk through it during the hunting season. You can overhunt it. You can blow your scent into it. We hunt on the outside edge. But the number one way you can probably destroy this is just clear it out and put a food plot in. Be very mindful of that, how you plan your entire property, because it doesn't just apply to your favorite buck bedding area and potentially putting a food plot or not. It really applies to the overall concepts that you can build your property with. And if you're building a great deer hunt and you're holding mature bucks in your land, then you're building a great deer herd too. They both go together, and it all starts with really managing your buck bedding areas to food sources and having that depth as best you can, no matter how big the parcel is you hunt on private land or where you find it on public land for this fall. Guys, it's food plot time, and I really urge you to check out our food plot company, Pure Wildlife Blends. It's called Pure for a reason. I invite you to check it out. We have food plot blends for all types, and we try to give you all this content on YouTube, articles on the site, to help you make sure you not only do it right, plant it right, but you pick the right seed blend for your circumstances.